Afternoon. Hopefully everyone is doing well. I'm trying to get set up a couple of minutes early before we go live in 2 minutes, and just trying to see if I can get myself live on my other screen so I can actually see if anyone joins me and has comments. So we'll get going at 2 o'clock Pacific, which is 5 o'clock Eastern, and 4 o'clock Central. So bear with me as we try and get everything set up here. It's interesting how YouTube, like everything, just seems to change every time I use it. There's something different that I have to figure out. Maybe if I did more often lives, I would know this, but it's always a struggle to find my lives when they're actually playing live. So it used to pop up and show me that I was live, but now it doesn't seem to want to do that anymore. So that is why I struggle. Okay. Try and give myself another minute here to see if I can get this to show up. Because I did mark it as public. I'm going to just take this down for a second to see if there was any setting that I missed. It's kind of sad because I did want to see comments if people joined us today, but it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to. All right, so it is 2 o'clock, and we are going to do a scrapbook layout, which usually will take about an hour, but it's going to probably take a little bit longer than that today, because we're going to go through using the workshop guide, and we're going to talk about how to use these workshop guides, and how to read them, and then I'm going to actually put one of the layouts together as well, and that's why I kind of wanted to see if I could find anything that would help me make sure that people were understanding and I could answer any questions. But it doesn't look like it's going to show me anything that I want it to do. Let's just see. There we go. Maybe I just found it. Hold on. Technology usually and I get along pretty well, but I'm seeing it, but it's not letting me click on it. Okay. All right, well, I'll keep looking over there and see if anything pops up on my screen, but I don't want to waste that much time trying to get the technology to work, and hopefully everybody can see me. It looks like it's fine on my screen. I'm a little crooked, but it looks like it's fine on my screen as I am looking at this. Yeah. Sorry, everyone. again, I really am trying to see if I can see this, and I might have just found it. Okay, I think I've seen it. Oh, hi Leslie. Love British Columbia. My daughter actually has a friend flying down from Vancouver um, tomorrow to visit while she's home on spring break. So, uh, really fun. I loved visiting Vancouver years and years ago when we went through to Alaska. So it's great to have you. All right. So as I was saying, Everyday You and Me is a paper collection that has come out from Stampin' Up, and they have a scrapbooking workshop that goes along with the paper collection. The scrapbooking workshop has additional pieces of things that you won't get by just buying the paper collection, and so I don't like the bracketed piece. So I probably will mix that one up and not make that, but use some of the components. So depending on how you want to use these layouts or these papers, you can actually get, I've seen some people get, you know, 6 2-page layouts out of just one scrapbooking workshop. So, but what I want to do is walk through these so that if you haven't used them before, you can walk through and understand how to use them if you get them in the future. The other thing that's really nice about these is that they're, it's not that you don't have to think, but if you are not in a creative mood and you want to create, but you don't want to create from scratch, this is a great way to kind of go on autopilot a little bit and just do what they show you. Um, and you don't have to think about it, and you don't have to worry about measurements and things like that. And right now, and I've got a lot of hectic things going on, but I want to create, and this is an easy way for me to be able to do that. All right, so in each one of the workshops, there is also going to be a featured technique. So on this one, the featured technique is adding color with blending brushes. And so down at the bottom, it'll tell you materials needed, and this will also be on the page if you buy a scrapbooking workshop from from Stampin' Up. Sorry, close to my heart, still in my brain. And so they're gonna use pecan pie and a basic blending brush. And so I do happen to have, you know, a blending brush and the pecan pie over here onto the side. But if you had either toffee or acorn, you could even go darker probably with mocha if you wanted to, but any of those browns, those warm browns are going to work for this technique. And so that's, again, you don't have to go out and buy anything. You can use what you have in your stash. All right, so on the front page, it's going to go give you a picture of the 3 layouts. It's also going to tell you the photos that have been designed for these layouts. So in project 1, there's 3 3x4s that are portrait and 3 3x4s that are landscape, right? Now, if that doesn't work with your photos, you can switch it up, all right? You don't have to do that to match it if your photos are bigger. There's plenty of space here to have bigger photos, so you could use a 4x6. Project 2 has 4 3x3s because we have a grid, and it has 1 4x6. And then project 3 has 2 3x3s and then 2 4x6s. Okay, so again, all of the information on the front page is sort of that general information. Then the next pages are going to be our cutting guide. And it's going to give you a diagram of how to cut your pieces. And there's always going to be a set of scissors that will indicate your first cut. So the scissors are going to indicate that this 8 by 12 is going to be your first cut. So it's 8 inches wide, 12 inches long. That's your first cut. On this one, the first cut is at 11.5 by 11.5. So you're just taking this piece of paper down. It's going to show you a cut orientation. So the front and the back. So you're going to cut on the gingham side of this paper on both of these diagrams. And then we're going to go through and do each one of these cuts. And then after you've done all the cutting, it's going to have the assembly instructions. So we will have what to prepare and then how to assemble with a diagram with measurements. And we'll go through each one of those as we get to that page. So we're going to go ahead and cut everything and then do this first layout. In this case, there is no stamping involved. So the only thing we're going to do is potentially doing the color blending, but there is no stamping, so you don't need a stamp or a stamp pad or a stamping block or anything like that. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what's included in the papers that you get with this scrapbooking workshop. So you will get photo placeholders that will put that you can mark out where the photos are going to be on your layouts as diagrammed on the pages. And so you've got your 4x6, you've got your 3x4s, and your 3x3s. So we're going to set those aside. We have a die cut sheet, and this is in gray granite. So this is really intricate die cuts that are going to go on this layout, and we probably will have ones left over from this, and it's pretty thick. It's not a thin piece of paper. It is a solid thickness for these die cuts, and they pop out pretty easily, so we'll set that aside as well. And then we have our papers. So you are going to get the papers that you the DSPs that you would get in a paper pack. It depends. Sometimes there's less papers, less of the prints, because they don't necessarily go with scrapbooking. And they pick out the prints that best fit for the scrapbook layouts that we're going to do. So in this case, we've got 2 of each of the 3 DSPs, and they are double-sided. So we have, I love this. This is one of my favorites. This collection for me kind of brings a lot of my favorites together. I really love the cool green blues. Reminds me of the ocean. I can see this being used for the ocean themes and things like that. This one in particular. But I love bringing in those warm brown tones as well. I just think that those are just, it's an absolutely gorgeous paper collection from my perspective. So I really, really love it. And that's what drew me to buying this one. All right, so those are the 3 DSPs. Then we have some specialty paper that only comes in the scrapbooking workshops. And these papers are single-sided. So this one has got that leaf print on it. And I believe this is wild wheat, the color, which is a in color that retires at the end of this this season. So, so this is a single-sided paper. And then we have a second single-sided paper that is more in that gray granite with the white flowers on top. And again, we've got 2 sheets of that single-sided print. All right. Then we have the die cutout that is part of layout number 3. And this one, you actually use both pieces of this in the layout, and it's just a really soft print. I love the print. I'm just not fond of the punch out. So again, this die cut may or may not be used. I may not do that 3rd layout. And then we have a die cut sheet, which has some of our titles, as well as some of those beautiful flowers and leaves and accessories. Really, really love that. I just think those flowers are just so beautiful. Then we have some cardstock. And this is our 2-toned cardstock. So they give you enough cardstock to do all 3 of the layouts. And in this case, it's all colored cardstock because all of the bases we've got color cardstock backgrounds. So again, these are two-tone. So this is the two different colors, and it has a white core. And then this is the last one. So two-tone again. And hopefully you can kind of see that two-tone. All right, so those are the cardstock pieces that come in it. And then the next thing that we get is the sticker sheet. And this has some really great watercolor sticker feelings. You know, I've got beautiful watercolor here, beautiful watercolor tones. I'm actually really into watercolors right now. So again, this was really fun kit for that. Okay, and then you'll get a sheet that tells you all the colors that are part of this collection, which is Gray Granite, Lost Lagoon, Mossy Meadow, Pecan Pie, Pretty Peacock, Very Vanilla, and Wild Wheat. So those are all of the colors, and we'll set that aside. Okay, so now we're going to do our cutting. And one of the things that I like to do is to take a look at my cutting guide, and I'd like to orient my papers to start with for cutting. So I'm going to need both pieces of the gingham, and I am going to pull those out, and the front is where I'm cutting, so gingham side up. So that's going to be my paper number 1 that I'm going to cut. My paper number 2 is going to be the stripy vine paper here. That's the second paper I'm going to cut, and this again has 2 sides, but the side we're going to cut in both cases is going to be this vine paper. And this is important because orientation matters. So with the gingham, it's gingham no matter what you do. You don't have to worry about orientation. The back side of this paper is an all over print. You don't need to worry about orientation. But when you're cutting something that has an orientation, you need to make sure that you're paying attention to it on the cutting guide. And so this cutting orientation is showing you that the stripes need to be going horizontal, not vertical. So what that means is you want to make sure that you're not cutting the paper this direction, because then it won't work for the design. The stripes need to be horizontal. So by taking a look at that and placing your paper in the right direction to start with, you will have less chance of messing up your cuts. So again, the stripes are going horizontal, and we're going to be cutting on those. Our next piece of paper is the dots, the large white dots that have the background that is the watercolor wash. And again, we're going to be cutting on the dot side. And again, the cut orientation on this one, you do want to, this one does have an orientation again. The dots can either go horizontally or they can go vertically. And this cut orientation is showing that the dots need to go vertically. You want the dots running down the page, not across the page. So hopefully that's makes sense when you're looking at this. So again, I'm just stacking these papers in the order and the sequence of cutting. And then we're going to flip to the last cutting page. And the next piece that we're going to cut is that exclusive paper that is the Gray Granite with the white. So we're going to grab both of those pieces of paper. So that's this one here. I'm going to grab that. And this doesn't have an orientation, so I don't need to worry about it. So all I need to do is put that at the bottom of my cut pile. And then I have my cardstock that needs to be cut. Now, I may not cut this cardstock today because, well, I'm actually going to cut probably one piece. We'll see if we have time to cut the other one. But we're going to use the Pretty in Pink two-tone. So that's this piece here. And you'll notice what it says here is you're going to cut this on the light side. Okay, so we want to flip it over to the light side and then stick it under our stack. Okay, and then the last piece is the Lost Lagoon. So we've got the Lost Lagoon. And again, this is saying we are going to cut on the light side, though the picture here is a little bit confusing because the darker color is in the light box and the lighter color is in the dark box. So we're going to double check that once we go to look at this and see which side we like better when we're building layout number 3. Okay, so now we've got our stack of papers that we're going to be cutting. The rest of these pieces we're going to set off to the side because we do not need those right now. And we're going to bring out our paper trimmer and we are going to start our first cut. So we're going to go back to the cutting, the first page, and the first piece that we need to cut is the gingham. And we are going to make sure that the gingham is sitting up in our trimmer. And we are going to open our trimmer up. And we're just going to sort of slide everything around so hopefully everything can get in the shot here. Like so. And we are going to cut this at 8 inches. So this is 1A. And the first cut is at 8 inches. So we're going to open this up and we're going to set this at 8 inches. And we're going to trim that up. So that's our first cut. Now, with scrapbook layouts, there's not quite as many pieces as there are, say, for a card kit. But if you want, you can flip this over and you can just mark it with a 1A. And so that you know that this piece goes to layout 1. And it's going to be part of that layout. And you're going to set that aside in a pile. All right, so our next cut is going to be, it's already at 4 inches. So in this case, we just need to cut it at 8. So we're going to flip this around and we're going to cut this at 8 as well. Get that lined up correctly and butt it up against the top there, and we're going to cut that. And then that is going to actually be 1B asterisk. I didn't say what the asterisk was. The asterisk means, if you look down here, that we're going to use the back side of this piece of paper on this layout. On layout 1, we're going to be using this side of the paper. So I'm going to label this 1B, but I'm going to do it on the gingham side because I'm going to be using this side for this piece. Okay, so anytime you see an asterisk, that just means that you're using the opposite side, not the front, you're using the back. Some people don't like the edges, so when you cut, you do end up with a sort of beveled edge or a little lip where the cut is. So in this case, if you look at this, all the rest of these pieces here are going to be using the back side because they all have asterisks on them. You can just flip the paper over and cut so that you don't have this little raised edge on it if you like. That's up to you. All right, so the rest of these are cuts at 2 inches by 1 inch. So we're going to go in, we're going to cut this at 2. And then we're going to cut at 1. And sometimes it's easier to cut on the right-hand side when you're at 1 inch or below. So you have a little bit more stability of the paper. So we're going to cut 4 of those at 1 inch here. Oops, that was crooked. I see I made a very crooked cut there. I did not push it up against the edge very well. Okay, so we will have to play around with that just a little bit to make that work. Okay, so we're going to cut this guy and make this one straight, and we'll see if we can hide that miss. I think we're just going to cut this just a little bit smaller than 1 inch. And I'll probably be the only one that notices that this is not exactly a 1 inch strip. We're going to take a pair of scissors here and just get rid of that little bit of white and try and make that even there. Okay, so it's going to be a little bit smaller, but I don't think we will notice that. So, okay, we've got those 4, and now we need to do that same step again with the other side. And just be careful that we're pushing it up against the top of the trimmer. So we get a straight cut. Okay, there we go. All right, so these are all for project number 1. Okay, I'm not going to label each one of these. I'm going to remember that they are part of project 1. All right, so the next piece is we're going to trim up the second piece of the gingham paper, and we're going to make this 11.5 by 11.5. So we are just going to put this in our trimmer, and we're going to set it at 11.5. Trim that up. This is an extra piece, but this is a great 1/2-inch piece that you can use on another layout. We're going to rotate it once, and we're going to trim off another 1/2 inch here. Make sure that I'm at that 11.5. So again, we're going to put this off to the side. We're not using it for this layout, but we will use that on something else. Okay, so this is going to be 1F. Okay, so we've got our pieces, that first piece of paper cut and ready to go. Okay, so now we're going to go to our second, which is our vines, our striped vines. And the first cut in this case is at 3.5. It's a 3 by 12. And remember, look at your orientation. We want to make sure we're putting it in the trimmer the same orientation that's on the picture. And so we want to make sure that these stripes are going horizontal, not vertical. Okay, so we're going to put this in at 3.5. And this is going to be, there's no asterisk on this one, 3B. So we're just going to mark this on the back side as 3B. Put that in a pile for our 3s. And this next piece, we have an asterisk. It says 2G, and that means we're going to be using the back side of the paper. This is going to be 7.5 by 11.5. So I am actually going to turn this over so that that cut is not beveling up on the back side. So we're going to put this in at 7.5. Trim that up. Again, this is an extra piece. We're not using this, so we're just going to set that aside. And then we're going to put this at 11.5. So we're going to trim this up at 11.5. Again, put this on another piece. And this is going to be our 2G. So we're going to mark this 2G. And put this in our pile that we have for our second layout. Okay, so our next cut is going to be 5.25, and this is 5.25 by 8.5, and we're going to get 2 pieces out of that 5.25 cut. So one's going to be an 8.5 long, and the other one is going to be a 4.25 by 3.25. So we're going to do that first cut. Again, the orientation is still saying we need to do this cut horizontally. So we're going to put it in our paper trimmer at 5.25. And then we're going to rotate this and cut it at 8.5. And that piece is going to be 3F. So we're going to start a pile for our 3s. And then we have our piece of paper again. We want to look at our orientation, make sure our orientation is the same. And we want to cut this at 4.25. This is going to be extra. Then we're going to rotate it and cut it at 3.25. Okay, so that's that piece. And this is going to be 1T. So this is going to go in our pile for layout number 1. Okay, Next cut is going to be 3 1/4. So we're going to come down and we're going to do a 3 1/4. And you might see a little dotted line here. That means you can cut all the way through, all the way down. So again, keeping our orientation correct, we're going to go 3 1/4. And then we're going to rotate this and we're going to cut this at 3 1/4 again for the next piece. And that's going to go in pile 2. That's 2H. And we're going to do that a second time. So we're going to do another 3 1/4 cut here. And that's 2I. And then we have 2 strips. So we have a strip 1 1/4 by 5 1/4. So we're going to do the 1 1/4. Oh, got to make sure our orientation is correct. Orientation has to be this direction. I did have it right. Again, just double checking. 1 1/4 by 5 1/4. We're just going to trim them off a little bit here. That would actually be scrap for me. 2C. And then we do that one more time. 1 1/4. And again, this is going to be extra, so we're going to put it over there by 5 1/4. All right. And this is 2D. Now, there's nothing that says that you can't use the other side of the papers if you like the other side of the papers better. Again, these are your layouts. This is just a way for you to get the cutting instructions and the idea, and you can use it with any paper. It doesn't have to be this paper. After you've got, after you've purchased the workshop, you can use this on lots of different layouts. Okay, so the next one is 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. So we're going to do 3 1/4. And we're going to go all the way down. Again, we've got this nice long narrow strip. I'm going to save that. That to me I can probably use on something. And then we're going to flip this around and do 4 1/4. And this one this has an asterisk on it, so we are actually not going to use this side, we're going to use this side. So we're going to mark this as 1I. So that's going to go in our 1 pile. And then the next one is also 4 1/4. And so we will mark this as 1J. Okay, and then we have this extra piece that we'll put in our scrap pile. All right, so we are now to the dot paper. Remember, the orientation needs to be vertical in this case because these dots do have a orientation of horizontal or vertical, and so we want to cut this as vertical. So our first cut is going to be 3/4 of an inch. So this is a narrow piece. So we're going to come to the right side of our trimmer and go to 3/4. This just gives you a little bit more stability in holding the paper by doing it on this side. And that's going to be by 12 inches, and we are using the dot side. So we're going to mark this as 3A. And we'll put that in our 3 pile. And then we're going to do that again. Another 3/4 cut. And this is going to be 3C. And that'll go in our 3 pile. Okay, then our next cut is going to be a 10 by 10 square. And we are actually going to be using the other side of the paper. So we're going to flip this over. And we are going to build a 10 by 10 square. And so what I want to do, I'm just looking at the colorway. Okay, I think we're going to do it like this. So we're going to do this, and we're going to cut this piece off, and then we're going to rotate this, and we're going to cut off this piece here. Okay, so these are both extras, both of these pieces are extras. We're going to put that over there, and we're going to mark this as 2B. And put this in our 2 pile. So this is a really straightforward cutting layout. These layouts, not a whole lot of cuts that we're having to do here, so it's really nice. Again, we're going to cut this piece, and we're going to use the dots going vertical, and this is going to be a 5 by 7. So we're going to put this in at 5, and then cut this down to 7. This is an extra piece. So like I said, there's going to be extras that you can create another layout with, if not a couple of layouts. Okay, so this is 2E, so we're going to put that in our 2 pile, and then this is going to be a 7 by 7, so this should be 7 inches already, and so then we're going to rotate it, and we're going to cut it at 7 again, and then we've got a nice piece left over. And then this is going to be 2J. Okay, so that's going to go in our 2 pile. All right. So now we're going to cut our specialty paper, our exclusive paper. And this first one, this 2A, is going to be 11.5 by 11.5. So again, we're just going to stick it in. There is no orientation that we have to worry about, so we're just going to put it in our trimmer. And we're going to take off that 1/2 inch, put it in our scrap pile, rotate it to 11.5 again, and take that, put it in our scrap pile, and this will be 2A. So put that in our 2 pile. And then we'll take our last piece of specialty paper, and this we are going to be 4 inches by 11.5. So we're going to cut this at 4. And we have this great scrap left over. This is not scrap. This is going to be on another layout. All right, and then we're going to cut this down to 11.5. Okay, save that. And this is going to be 2F. All right, that goes in our 2 pile. So our last cuts are going to be our peacock, our pretty peacock, and we want to make sure that we are on the light side again. Hopefully you can see that there is a light and a dark. We want the light side, and we are going to trim this at 4 1/4. So these are going to be part of our photo mats. These are gonna have our pictures sit on top of them. Now, one way that you can conserve paper, if you're concerned about it, 4 1/4 by 3 1/4, is that you could actually cut the photo mats to 4 by 3, and you could cut your pictures down slightly. You could trim your pictures by 1/4 inch, and that will give you your scrap will be less because you're not doing an extra 1/4 inch. So I will do that sometimes, where I will take these and I will make my mats the size of the picture, and then I will trim my pictures up a little bit to make it be a more economical use of paper, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So that is an option. But I'm going to just follow the cutting instructions, and I'm going to go ahead and cut these at 4 1/4 by 3 1/4. And we'll get 3 more of these, and these are all going in pile 1. Okay, and that will go into our scrap pile. And this is extra, so we'll just put this aside as well. All right, so our last one is our Lost Lagoon, and we need this for our third layout. So this is 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. So we're going to do this, and this is where I gotta make sure I hit the right spot, because it's right over. I always get this one wrong. Let's do this. I'm trying to mark out because this doesn't seem right. So we're gonna just do this. I'm gonna bring this out. This is one of the things I struggle with sometimes. So I'm gonna just take this and I'm gonna mark, yeah, 6 1/4. I'm gonna take my T-square and I'm going to mark this. Sorry, I'm trying to get it so it's sort of at the top here. I'm gonna mark that right there. And that will just help me line it up correctly on here. So I'm going to line that up right there. So really, it's kind of like right at the edge. There's not really a tick mark per se. That looks good. Okay, so got that. Okay, so then we want 4 1/4 here. I know a lot of people actually do a permanent marker on their trimmer to indicate that space that seems to get lost when you have the swing arm that comes out, but I haven't done that. Okay, so then we've got 2 6 1/4 by 4 1/4, and then we need a 6 1/4 by 3 1/4. So we're going to trim this guy up, and we've got a little sliver left, and then we have this whole sheet left. Okay, so all of these are going to go into pile 3. And that is the extent of our cutting. We are done cutting. So that is a really quick one. How did we do time-wise? We got done, not too bad, not too bad. The layouts are not that difficult to put together, so they should go pretty fast. I'm only going to do one layout today, but I wanted to walk through the whole process of the cutting because I know some people get a little intimidated by the cutting guides. And we really do try to make it as simple as possible for you to make these layouts and follow not the instructions, but the way that the cutting works. That's probably the hardest part. All right, so now that we have done the cutting, we are back to 1, and I am trying to see if I can straighten out my desk here because everything looks a little bit crooked on my screen. So let me just play with this just for a second and see if we can get this looking straight on the screen, and because it looks like my phone is straight, but somehow it's not straight otherwise. And am I stuck? Can't tell if I'm stuck. My hand is moving now. Okay, so I'm still a little crooked. So let me just keep moving this. That looks better. Okay, I think we're straight now. We are straighter. Okay. So the prepare both pages optional. So this is that optional technique that I talked about using the pecan pie and a blending brush. So add color to the die cut pieces with pecan pie ink and blending brush. Rub the blending brush on the ink pad and apply the ink to the die cut using a gentle circular motion, starting light and keeping adding color as desired. So the die cuts are, I know I put them over here. I buried them. There they are. The die cuts are these guys. And we've got a couple of different die cuts that are part of this layout. So we've got some of these, this leaf here is what it looks like. So I'm just trying to make sure I've got the right one. It looks like it's this leaf. And then we've got a rosette is what I would call it. So we're going to pull out that guy. And then we're going to pull out a rosette. And this looks like it's this size here. So that's that one. And it looks like it has a backer to it. It looks like there's 2 pieces from what I can tell. So we're going to pull that out. I think these 2 go together. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing on the picture, is these 2 pieces layer on top of each other. So we're going to pull those 2 out. It doesn't really specify, but that, I think. This is a sticker up here. It looks like we've got another die cut right there, which is looks like this flower here. I think it's that flower. Okay, so I think those are those pieces for side 1, the left page. Let's look at what's on the right page. So the right page has, looks like it's this guy here. So that one right there. And it has a backer to it as well, which looks like is this one right here. This is the first time I've had double die cuts. That's interesting. I haven't seen that before. And then we've got a heart that is here. I think this is the heart. I'm not seeing anything else. I think those are the die cuts for this layout. Okay. We'll just double check that in a little bit. Okay. So now that we've got our pieces, now you could just do this on this piece of paper. I'm going to get a scrap piece of paper. And, excuse me, I didn't prep this earlier. I'm trying to pull some scrap paper out. Sorry, there we go. Okay, scrap paper out. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and do some blending. Now, if you have a silicone mat or I've got this mat underneath here, you could do it on top of that, making it easy cleanup. But I'm going to just use this white paper so I don't have to move too many things around. Okay, so I'm going to take all these die cut pieces and I'm actually going to take a look. Again, this is up to you how much you want to mimic the what's on this layout versus how much you want to go off and create on your own. But what they've done is it looks like they've done the pecan pie on top of this flower and only done the top of the flower, not the stem. And then on this one, they've done the top of the rose, but not the bottom. So giving it some dimension so that it has some depth. So that means we really don't need to to work with the other pieces that we have here. So we don't need this piece and we don't need that bottom piece. And then if we look at the other side, this piece here, what they've done is they've actually done the bottom of it, not the top. They've layered it, but the top doesn't get inked, but the bottom does. And the heart doesn't look like they've inked it at all. So we don't need the heart or the topper for this. So these are the 3 pieces that we are going to ink. Now, again, this is totally preference. Anything that you want to do, you do. You do you. You do what works, what you like. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my pecan pie. And I'm going to take my blending brush. I have a small blending brush here. I'm going to add it to the ink. My ink pads are very juicy because they're new. The reason you want to have paper for when you're inking is you want to tap off. You want to load the brush, but you want to tap off. Like everything, you can add more. You cannot take away. So it's important that when you're inking anything like this, you're tapping off, because if you notice, I'm getting a lot of ink. And if I went straight to my project like that, then I would just get this big blob of ink. Okay. And then the other technique or other trick is you start outside of where you're going and you come in. So you start off of the piece, not directly on the piece. And in a circular motion, you come from the paper to the piece. Now these are pretty good and sturdy die cuts, but you do need to be careful. You do want to hold it down because it could break the die cut at that small juncture in the middle here. So again, going in, coming from the outside, coming in. And as you use your brush, more ink will stay in the bristles, and so you do have to be careful how how hard you're pushing, how much ink is there. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. So again, I want to try and make it the depth interesting. I'm just trying to rotate this. And then I'm going to take it off the paper and see if I want to add any more ink. And I think I do right in here. I don't feel like there's enough there. Oops, that was a little bit more than I think I wanted, but that's okay. Layering up is the idea here, layering that ink on top of itself. Okay, I think that one's good. I think that one's good. All right, and you'll notice I took it off of where I was inking because this is distorting the way it looks. All right, so now we're going to do the rose. So again, and I'm just rotating it, trying to keep my fingers as uninky as possible, but you know, doesn't quite work. All right, so I'm going to just pick this up, take a look, and see if I like it, and I think that's pretty good. Okay, so the last piece is this one here, and again, we're only doing the top here. We're not doing the whole thing. So I'm really just trying to hold this down as I'm pushing the ink onto the flower part. Now, one of the things you could do is if you were making all three of these layouts at one time, you could do all the inking at once versus for each layout, just to keep the mess reasonable depending on your style. Okay, so again, we've inked the top of that one. All right, so we are done with this, and I'm going to clean up my fingers with a wipe just so I don't transfer ink to the project by accident. So just using a baby wipe for that. Okay, on we go to the next step. Okay, so I'm going to just set these guys aside, and we are going to start our assembly. Okay, so I feel like I made everything crooked again with all of that. So we're going to straighten this out again. Okay, so now we're going to assemble. So we're going to adhere A1 and AB to the pretty peacock base page. So we're going to go back to our base page. We're going to grab our pretty peacock base page, and I'm going to work on the left side first. And we're going to grab our page 1. And so we are going to look for A1 and A1A and 1B. So 1A is this piece here. Again, this is one reason why we label it. And then we've got our 1B piece here. And so this is actually going to go horizontally. This piece, this 1A piece is going to go horizontally, and then this piece, this 1B piece, is going to go vertically. And again, the dimensions are here. It's going to tell you how far things are going to be. So this is going to sit right at the top of the page to start with. So we're going to adhere this guy down. Again, I want to make sure the edges have adhesive on them because those are the areas that I want to make sure definitely are down. Plus, I'm not doing any layering where I need to have the edges up. And then we're just going to put some adhesive in the middle. Okay, so we're going to just line this up with the top of this page and the edges, like so. And put that down. Okay, So that's our first piece. So now we want to make sure that we're lined up on our Versamat or whatever mat you're using. And we're going to come in 4 inches from the right-hand side. Okay, so we're going to come in 4 inches, and that's going to be the edge of this. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to want to put this here. That does not look right to me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. Glad I looked at that. So we're trying to put this in the middle. So measure twice, cut once, goes the same for scrapbooking. Now I could lift this up because this adhesive that I'm using is not will allow me to manipulate it for a short period of time. Okay, so there we go. So now we've got our 2B down. Okay, so now we have 1C, 1D, and 1E, and those are our photo mats. So remember, we have our photo mats. So we've got 3 of these that are going to go down, and we're going to get our photo placeholders, because I do not have photos for this as of yet, though I have plenty of ideas for photos, because do not use adhesive on the bottom of... Oh, okay. So let's first put our photos down on these. In order to get my family to agree to take pictures with me, at least my girls, my husband's not so picky about it, but my girls, they don't want to be on social media and have them shown. So you will very rarely see me doing layouts with photos, unless it's just me and my husband, because I want to respect my girls' wishes about that. So I am using the light side of the Pretty Peacock. The dark side is what we're using for the base. It doesn't say, oh, it did say use light, but I used the dark. Again, I don't think it matters. I like the color. I think it has enough contrast. That's really my big point. So, okay, so now that we've got our 3 photo placeholders on there, there is a tip. Do not use adhesive at the bottom of 3E or 1E. You'll place other pieces behind them later. If you look at this here, you see that there's little things here that are placed underneath this photo. So you do not want to put adhesive at the bottom of this, because you need to slide something underneath that. But I am actually going to pop these up on 3D foam tape. I like to have my photos be up on foam tape. That's a personal preference of mine. I like the dimension, and so I am going to use foam tape. Now I do have foam tape. I don't have the dimensionals that Stampin' Up! Offers. I personally don't like having to take so many little pieces off when I'm doing layouts. It's just not, it's not fun. There's too many little bits. So this one I'm going to just place here. This one I'm going to follow the instructions, and I'm only going to put 3D foam tape at the top and in the middle, because I need to leave space for the things that are going to go underneath this one. Now, depending on how I wanted to do it, I actually probably could have run my tape that direction, and I might just do that just so that this has a little bit more stability. I have some narrower tape. I might add that here on this side. Just a little bit, just to add a little more stability right there. Okay, and then that'll go there. And then this piece here, this happens to be dollar store foam tape, because I ran out of all my Close to My Heart foam tape. So just in case people were wondering, that's where I got this foam tape from. Okay, so we've got that prepped. So we are going to come down 1.5 inches to place the photo from the top and 3/8 of an inch in from the left for our first photo. So we're going to go ahead and take this off. And we're going to come down. Oops, stuck to my finger. We're going to come down again 1.5 inches, so 1.5, and we're going to come in, and this is going to be more of an eyeball of where you think 3/8 of an inch is. And I'm going to go right about there. Okay. I don't know if I can lift that up. I don't like that. I feel like I have too much on the right-hand side. Again, if you're gentle and you don't put too much pressure, you can pick up your pieces and not tear the paper. Go slow. And this is why I don't usually push down when I put things on my layout, because there are times when I need to move things around. And I'm just being gentle, trying to make sure that we don't tear the paper. Oh, I think I got lucky there. I only see a little bit of a tear there that no one will notice but me. Okay, so just making sure my layout is straight again. So 1.5 inches down, and I'm actually going to come over a full square, I think, like that. Okay, there we go. Okay, the next one, we're just going to line up. So we're going to make sure that we're 1.5 inches down. And if you have a T-square ruler that you like to use, and you've got the space, and my space is a little bit small here, but you could line it up at the 1.5 here and make sure that all of these are lined up. So again, that's another option if you really want to make sure that you are completely square, which sometimes bothers me, most of the time does not. To be honest, this is really sticky foam tape. So we're just going to center this guy. Make sure that we're centered and somewhat lined up there. And then we're going to do the same thing here. Now, there are dimensions on the other, so it's 3/4 of an inch from the other piece, and then 1/8 of an inch. But again, I'm going to just eyeball this at 1.5 and try and keep this centered in that block, which looks like right about there. Okay, all good. That all looks good. Okay, so then we've got the title sticker. So we'll just move this back up. We have the big title sticker and the embellishments with the die cuts and stickers, placing a few. Okay, so let's grab the sticker and the die cuts. Okay, so we've got our stickers here, and we need our die cuts. Okay, so the title, All of Us Together, that's that die cut. So we'll pull that guy out. Oh, looks like I might be losing one of my lights. Let's plug that in and see if we can get some longevity out of that. Okay, so we've got that die cut, and I'm just looking to see if there's any other die cuts, and I don't, I think those are all stickers. Those all look to be stickers, so we'll put that aside. Okay, so then our stickers are the long strip down here. Okay, so there's this piece here. Okay, and we're going to start with that one because that one actually goes on the page down here at the bottom. So we don't have a dimension for where to put that. They didn't put that in here. There's no dimension here, but it's not in the middle. it's towards the bottom. So it's about, I'm going to say this is going to be at about 1 inch. Yeah, I'm going to put this at the 1 inch mark all the way across like that. Okay. Again, this might pop off better if I had used the light side of Pretty and Peacock. So just making note of that. Okay, so we're gonna take this, and this is gonna go on top of that sticker. And again, I'm gonna grab my foam tape and I'm gonna add this. I'm gonna pop this up for some dimension as well. Does anyone have any questions about this particular kit, this workshop? Yeah, we're going to just finish this layout. We're not going to do the other two. I might come back and do layout number 2 as another video. Okay, so again, this, you know, when you look at the picture, this is just overlapping a little bit down below that stripe. So I'm going to try and get this centered here. Okay, I think that's pretty good. All right. And then we have our embellishments down here, which is the 3 pieces. So we've got the flower and we've got the leaf. And so we're going to, I think this is going to get tucked underneath. So we're just going to add some adhesive to this leaf and tuck that here. Like so. And then these 2 pieces go together. So I'm going to add some adhesive to the back of this. And we're going to line this up. Got to find the right alignment here. Did I grab the right piece? Thought I did. This looks too small, but there we go. Okay, so I think that's it. May have been the wrong piece, but we're going to go with it. Okay, and we're going to add some adhesive there and put this here, like so. Okay, so that is done. So now we can move on to the other stickers. So we've got, looks like a couple of stickers up here at the top. So that's these 2 stickers here. So we're going to grab those. And because I popped this up on 3D foam tape, you can choose to overlap your photo with this if you want. I don't tend to do that, especially because I don't have my photos here. And this is actually, because this is popped up, I need to add some dimension to it. So I'm actually going to take the pouch that has the powder in it for doing embossing, and I'm going to take the sticky off of this for right now. And then I'm going to grab this one and do the same thing. And this just essentially turns it into a die cut. Okay, so we've got that. And then we're going to take our thin adhesive, our thin 3D foam tape, and we're going to just add a strip at the top. Here. And by doing that, then we can make it the same level as the pictures. And then you can place it wherever you want. So if you want it to overlap your photo, you'll still be able to do that because you took the adhesive off of it. And then you're just going to center that on the picture. Oops, I got a little hair there. Center that on the picture, like so. And you should be able to slide your picture underneath that without a problem. Okay, so those are those 2. Okay, so then we need a little flower. The little gray flower here is going to go on this one. Again, we're going to do the same thing. Take off the adhesive. by using the embossing powder pouch, and we're going to cut a little bit of foam tape on this one. And we are going to put that at the top of the flower. And again, just slide it onto this, like so. Okay, so then our last pieces are going to be the 3 flags, these 3 flags right here. So we're going to grab these 3. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing and I'm not off camera. I can grab all 3 of these at the same time. Put that to the side. And we're going to start with the middle one. And we're going to slide that and try and get in the middle. And we're leaving it a little bit long. We're bringing it down quite a ways. Okay, and then we'll put one to the side here. Again, just giving it a little bit of a gap, but trying to keep it even. Just looking. Looks like they kept it even. Yeah. You could stagger them for a little bit more interest if you wanted. Looks like they cut this one off, but I'm going to just leave it as is. And we're going to put, I'm going to make that gap just a little bit smaller there. Okay. All right, so we've got our 3 flags down. And then we've got looks like this little circle. I'm just going to go back to our die cuts. We did need one more die cut. We needed one of the leaf die cuts, and I'm going to go with this one here. Okay. All right, so this is going to come over here. And again, this is overlapping the photos. So when you put this down, you want to make sure that you are not putting adhesive on those. But I do think that from an interest perspective, I do want to make this on 3D foam tape again. So I'm going to actually just put this sticker, just leave this sticker upside down here. And we're going to just grab some 3D foam tape. Here. Here. Again, I'm trying not to go all the way to the edge of these leaves because they're going to have, it's going to overlap on the pictures. When you overlap on the pictures, it just grounds the pieces together. I shouldn't say ground. It's not really grounding. It's just linking all the pieces together. And gives it a feel like these leaves aren't floating out of nowhere. So this would be a really good boys page too. I know it's teal. If you remove some of the flower elements, if you don't like flowers with your boys pages, you could do that, and you would, but I do think that this could be a really cute boys page as well. So I'm just trying to make sure that my foam tape is not going to interfere with my pictures, and it's not. So there. Okay, so the next piece is our little flower here. So we've got our little flower, and that's going to lay on top of this. So we're just going to put some adhesive on this, and I'm actually going to use my mat here to add some adhesive. You could do glue if you like. I'm not a glue person. I'm not good at keeping it in its spot where it's supposed to go. Okay, so then we've got that. And then we've got our sticker again here that's going to lay on top of that. So we're going to add some, we're going to take the adhesive off of this one too and add some 3D foam tape to this. And I think the only thing we're missing are some of the words and a heart that I just saw. that I missed the first time around. Okay, so we're going to do this like so, and I'm going to just put some 3D foam tape on the right hand side there with this sticker. And this is going to go into a page protector, so and I don't have any 3D elements on this, so I'm not too concerned about it staying where it's supposed to stay. All right, so that's that. So now we have these words happiness and pure sweetness. Okay, so we've got pure sweetness and happiness here. So we're going to grab these guys off of our sticker sheet. And just going to find a place that I like these guys. Like so, just offset them a little bit like so. And then the last thing was there was a heart, a small heart that I missed. So right here is a tiny little heart. And so I think that's this one right here in the die cut sheet. So we're going to grab that guy and add some adhesive to that, like so. And we have the left side all done. Okay, so now that that's done, we'll move that over and we are going to put the right side together, and then we will be done with this layout. So, okay, so this one again, we're going to get the pretty peacock base page, and we're going to stay with the dark side because we did dark on the other side. If you did light, then you would want to use light on this one as well. And then we're going to get our 1H. This is our 1H. No, this is 1F. Did I mark it wrong? I may have marked it wrong because this says 1F. I think they may have, yeah, I think they labeled it wrong here. This should say 1F because this is 1F. Okay, so we're going to put this piece down. Now, if I wanted to save this page and make this lighter, I would gut out this pretty and peacock, which I think I'm going to do. So this is an 11.5 piece that is that square. And when you gut something out, you allow less weight for your pages, but you also get to save paper. So this is 11.5. So if I do 1 inch here, yeah, that should work. So when you do that, and this is going to be kind of hard to see, you're going to line this up at 1 inch on your trimmer, and you're going to start at the 1 inch on the ruler of your trimmer. And you're going to trim down, and you're going to again leave 1 inch-ish on the top and the bottom. And then you're going to rotate your paper, put it back into the 1 inch, come back up here to 1 inch, and come down to the 11. And then rotate again. And this is called gutting the paper. Now, I like to do this because it saves paper that I can use on another project with this particular paper pack, or it saves paper in that I don't have that bulk in my album. Because we're layering, lots of different layers of paper. Now this one doesn't have a huge amount of layers, but it's still nice to be able to reduce the bulk. Now I didn't quite do a good job of my measurements there. My light is blowing out my thing, so I can't really see it. But I'm going to just come in here with my scissors and trim this up. Cut here. And then I've got this nice piece of paper that I can use for something else. Okay. So there we go. Put that away. All right, so we'll put this down here like so. And then instead of putting adhesive on this piece, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put adhesive around the edge of my base page, making sure I get those corners really well. And I'm going close to the center of this because, again, we want a border of this pretty peacock showing. This piece, the piece we're going to lay on top, is going to leave that pretty border. All right. And here we go. And so we're going to eyeball this so it's got about 1/4 of an inch reveal all the way around. That looks pretty good. And then we'll tie that down. So you can see now I've got the paper is still going to stabilize it, but I'm not using as much of that cardstock, and I can use that cardstock for something else. So hopefully that made sense. Okay, so now we have to find the rest of our pieces here. Okay, so we are going to grab, we're just looking at one eye. I labeled things wrong. 1J. This is 1J, 1I, and 1T. Okay, and then these other ones are our other pieces. So then we've got our 3 pieces here, which are going to be our pictures. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. These are going to go landscape versus portrait. So we're going to put our photo placeholders. I'm going to go ahead and say the 3x4 here, but again, you just want to make sure that you're laying these down horizontal, not vertical, even though they're not printed on the other side like they were with Close to My Heart. Close to My Heart would print both the front and the back, one vertical, one horizontal. But Stampin' Up! Has not done that. You know, cost of printing, it's expensive, so I can understand that. Okay, so we're going to lay those there. Okay, so now we're going to do our layout. So we're going to have this piece here, then we're going to have a photo, then we're going to have this piece here, we're going to have another photo, this one here, this one here. So that's our layout. And our dimensions, so what we're going to actually measure here is going to be, it looks like a 1 1/4 inch in from the left-hand side and 5/8 of an inch down. And then we have these strips here that, remember, we cut a bunch of these strips, and they are acting as imitating a full strip all the way down. So that means we're going to have these laid between each of these, mimicking a full strip all the way down this page, like this. Okay, so we are going to, I'm trying to think. I know that they've got the instructions, but I didn't label everything. So I am going to start up here at the top, and we're going to do this one first. So this is all going to be, these pieces are going to be flat. So I'm going to go ahead and put the adhesive on this one. And this says that it should be 2 1/4 inches over from the left-hand side, 2 1/4 inches from the edge of the patterned paper, 2 1/4 inches. So if I'm in at 1/4, I need to come to 2 1/2 inches in. Does that look right? So, and then this is supposed to be 1 1/4. So that would be at 1 1/2 here. Like that. I'm just making sure I've got a good dry fit before I commit to this. Because I feel like that's a little bit tight on that side. And then this is supposed to be 2 3/4 from here. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So it would be here. And then this, I'm not pushing it down too far. So let's see. 1, 2, 3. So it would be right there. Sorry, I'm talking to myself and trying to make all this work. And then, okay, so we don't have a dimension there, but we're tight there. So let's just assume we're 1 1/4 in from this side. 1 1/4, roughly there. Okay. Okay. And it's got a narrow piece. So again, I'm just trying to make sure that I'm reading the instructions correctly, or I'm looking at the picture, which I tend to do more than the instructions. So 2 1/4 in, and then 1 1/4 in here. So 1 1/4. I actually think that's too far, so I'm actually going to make an adjustment here so this is centered. And then I have to decide, do I want these popped up to give it dimension? And I think I do. So that's what I'm going to do from an adhesive perspective. Again, these are all things that you get to make decisions about and decide what look you like. Some people like dimension, some people don't. Oh, hi Dolores. Sorry, I just saw your comment. I didn't see that just a second ago. This is from Stampin' Up. So Stampin' Up has created this layout, and it is on my Stampin' Up website, or if you have a Stampin' Up demonstrator, you can get it directly from them. It's called Every Day You and Me is the name of the kit. So and in the description box are links to my website if you want to go there and purchase it. So hopefully that helps. If not, just let me know. I'll try and answer it once I'm done here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put 3D foam tape on this. These other two pieces, and then we're going to lay out the in-between pieces first. So we're going to do it as multiple steps. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this guy down. Oops, out of adhesive on that one. Always happens when I'm doing videos. Run out of adhesive. Okay, so I want to try and line this up as best I can, and I might just bring my ruler in here and just get that lined up. Like so. Put that down. Okay, and then we'll put our photo mat down, and it looks like we're only giving that about 1/4 of an inch between the two. So the fact that I cut that one piece wrong, remember it was 1 inch, the fact that I cut it wrong, is fine. I don't need to worry about it. Okay, sorry, my lights are starting to die on me. Okay, so now we've got this piece here. Do the same thing. And we're going to do a line up here. Try and get this straight. Like so. Fit it underneath. Oops, that looks like I got that a little crooked. That worked. There we go. And do this. Okay. And again, about 1/4 of an inch. Line that up like that. And then we've got our last piece that we're going to put here at the bottom. Now, normally I wouldn't use my T-ruler. I'm usually not that. Okay, this I have to cut because I put my adhesive a little bit too far down on that foam tape. So I need this to be a little bit shorter so that I can get it in there. Okay, there we go. That's all done. Okay, so now we can come over here and do the same thing. All right. So this one we're just going to line up with the left-hand side and just make sure that we are centered. I don't feel like that's centered. That we're centered and that we are in line here. Ah! This is really sticky 3D foam tape. Usually it's the old stuff that I had was not as sticky as this is. I haven't used the 3D foam tape from what is it, from the dollar store before. But since I was out, I figured I would use it up. Okay, so there we go. Try and make sure that's straight-ish. There we go. So this one we're going to use the stripe side. And we just have the embellishments after this. So all right, so here we go. Make sure my page is straight. And then line that up. Again, this one is a little bit more work to put together than the other side. The other side was definitely a little bit faster for sure. But I like the effect of this, taking these small pieces and creating sort of what looks like a full strip, even though it isn't a full strip, which is kind of fun. So a way to create an illusion that you have a full piece of paper running all the way down this page, but not using a full strip of paper. So it's a good way to take this concept and put it on, use it in another layout where you don't maybe have as many pieces of paper, long pieces of paper, but you can do the same technique by just cutting these 1-inch strips at a certain width, and then you can create this illusion of this paper going all the way down the page. Great use for scraps. All right, there we go. Okay, so that is done. So now we move on to our embellishments. So we need a few things. We need a couple of things from our sheet here. So we need another one of these leaves here. So we're going to grab that. And I'm just seeing what else we need. It looks like we need this scallop circle. And I think that's it I think that's it from this page. Okay, so then we've got our stickers. Okay, so let's see. Let's start with this block here, which is where we're going to grab this circle. And this circle is a journaling spot, so I'm actually not going to pop it up or do anything with it, especially because this is already popped up. So we're going to just sort of center this on this page with the lines hopefully going straight across. And then we're going to grab Nothing But Smiles. So that's this sticker here. And we're going to lay that on top. Again, this one you could pop up if you wanted to. In fact, I think I'm going to. Like I said, I like dimension. So I'm going to do dimension. And I'll grab some of it this. I think it's interesting to the eye when you're looking at a layout, which is why I do it. All right. Oh, want to make sure it's going the right direction. So center that guy like that. And then there is a little die cut heart that we punched out already. So we're going to grab that one. And we're going to put some adhesive on that. Like so. And this is going off the page, but that's fine, like that. Okay. So I think that cluster is done. So then we've got a cluster over here, which is going to be with this piece. Then we have this sticker. And we have Best of Times. Again, I feel like this is really flat sitting there, so I'm going to go ahead and pop this guy up on the foam tape. Oops, I made that a little bit long. And add a couple of pieces there. So we'll pop this up, then we'll put the sticker on, and then behind that we're going to tuck the inked up pieces of die cuts that we had. Okay, there we go. So again, center this. The reason the popping up works well is because it creates a shadow. And when you create a shadow, you, what did I do with that? I lost it. Did I actually put it on my, haha, I found it on my arm. Okay. So as I was saying, the reason that the popping up creates more dimension is because you've created a shadow. And when you've created a shadow, it just creates a visual interest. So I need to put some 3D foam tape on the edge of this sticker here, because that way I keep it at the same level as that piece. And I'm going to go ahead and grab our other two pieces before I do that, and I'm going to layer these guys together. So I'm going to layer these guys. Oh, come on. Like so. And we are going to stick that down first. So this is just going to get some adhesive. And we'll stick that down in here first. Like so. Like so. And then we'll layer this on top of that. And then we have one more sticker that says Best of Times. So we're going to grab that guy. And again, we need to put a little bit of adhesive at the end of 3D foam tape on the end of that, because it's going to hang off the edge. Okay, so that cluster is done. So we've got 2 clusters done. We have our 3rd cluster over here, and that's going to start with this leaf, and then we've got 3 stickers. Again, I'm going to do 3D foam tape on this as well. And then I think we have finished this layout. So that's not too bad. We got going at 2 o'clock. It's about an hour and 40 minutes. So I did pretty good, because we had to do all the paper cutting, and that, you know, takes some time to do the paper cutting. So that's good. All right. And again, I think these are really cute. I do love this paper, I have to say. I have to be careful when I buy paper, because there's so much paper that I love, that I don't overbuy and then not use it. And so I don't know if other people have that problem, but that's definitely one of my challenges. All right, so we've got that, and then we've got to go get our stickers. So we have the heart sticker right here. I think we'll take the dark heart sticker, and we're going to place that, and we might put a piece of 3D foam tape on that as well, just because we popped the other thing up. Right here. Okay, so we're gonna put that there. And then we've got 2 more stickers that we're gonna do, which is Special Day, and we have it together, we have it all. I really like the sayings on these stickers. Sometimes when I get some of these stickers, they're not, some of the sayings just aren't things that I would necessarily want on a layout for my stuff. But I have to say that the sayings on this one are very universal. I actually am pretty happy. Like I could put these on any layout and be happy with them being on the layout. Nothing but smiles, best of times. Together we have it all. I just, I have to say this is one of the better saying sticker sheets that I've seen before. And then Special Day is the last one that we're going to pull off. And this one is just going to be right above that. And we're not going to do that one we're going to come off a little bit further. We're going to leave that flat. Okay. I think we did it. I think we got both layouts done, or both sides of this layout done. So let's just take a look at it a little bit closer. So we have some really fun sayings and some really cool stickers and embellishments that we made. Here, hopefully you guys are getting a good view of that left side. And then let's take a look at the right side. Again, fun clusters of embellishments that help move your eye around the page. Hopefully everyone can see all of that. And then remember, I gutted that paper in the back to use that on another layout or a card or something like that. All right, so that's layout number 1 from the Every Day You and Me. That's this layout that we just did. And there's 2 more layouts that we've cut out. So I hope you had fun with this layout. Hopefully you learned a little bit about how to use the cutting guides and thinking about putting these layouts together. Again, I did not modify these layouts. I made them exactly the way that they were designed. So you can always make changes to the layouts and make them your own. And remember that these cutting guides don't just need to be used for the papers that that they came with. This, I could take this cutting guide and these layouts, and I could make many, many more layouts using different papers that I may have in my stash, and it'll look completely different by doing that. Maybe maybe I will do another video showing this exact same layout, just using different papers if people are interested in that. But hopefully this was an enjoyable Sunday evening, early evening, afternoon, depending on where you are. And I will see you on the next video. Feel free to leave me questions if you have any. I'll be happy to answer them. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye.